All right, let's jump right in. We're always hearing about these huge world-changing trends, but sometimes the best way to really get it is to just zoom in on a single day. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take just one 24-hour period, September 9th, 2025, and break down the news to see the bigger story, to see the forces that are literally pulling our future in opposite directions.
And wow, on this particular day, the story kicks off with a real bombshell. Get this. That quote, it's not from some blogger or a critic, that's from Google. Yeah, the company that basically built its empire on the open web. Now they're the ones sounding the alarm. That just sets this tone of crisis, right? And you're going to see that theme pop up again and again throughout the day.
So, first up, our first major theme, AI. And on this one day, man, AI was like a perfect paradox. It showed us its incredible, almost mind-bending potential, and at the exact same time, its profound, industry-shaking problems. It's like two sides of the same coin.
And this really gets to the heart of it, right? This is the question hanging over the entire industry. Is AI this amazing creative partner that's going to unlock a new era of innovation? Or is it a legal and ethical minefield that we're just stumbling into? And believe me, the news from this one day gives you a pretty strong case for both.
And I mean, that conflict was on full display. So on one side, you've got pure, unadulterated innovation. OpenAI, the ChatGPT folks, they're jumping into Hollywood with an AI-animated film called Critters. Super cool. Google is rolling out its AI search to 5 new languages, reaching millions more people. And then Vercel, kind of under the radar, deploys this stealthy AI with a 2 million token window. To put that in perspective, that means the AI can basically read and understand an entire novel in one shot. Just incredible stuff. But then you look at the other side, the peril. A judge completely rejects a massive settlement with the AI company Anthropic. This just throws gasoline back on the fire over how these models are trained using copyrighted stuff. And let's be super clear about the stakes here. We're not talking about a few $1,000,000. This settlement was for $1.5 billion. Billion with a B. Just think about that. One decision from one judge sends these massive shockwaves through the entire industry. This is way more than just a legal debate. This is a fight over the DNA of AI itself. And it brings up that huge question. Who actually owns the data that's making these tools so powerful?
Okay, so let's shift gears. Remember that warning from Google at the beginning about the decline of the open web? Well, it turns out that's not just about, walled gardens or AI-generated spam. On this day, we got a really stark reminder that the very foundations of the internet are under a constant and pretty sophisticated attack.
And to really get how this works, just look at this huge supply chain attack that Vercel talked about. It's kind of terrifyingly simple, really. Step 1, the compromise. Hackers get into 18 popular code packages on NPM. These are like the Lego bricks that developers use to build everything. Step 2, distribution. Developers who have no idea anything is wrong just install this poisoned code into their own projects. And step 3, the impact. That little bit of bad code is now inside projects that get downloaded 2 billion times a week. It's a sneaky, quiet attack that uses the very trust the system is built on.
And this wasn't just some one-off thing. Not at all. The news from this day showed it was basically a war on multiple fronts. You had malicious Google ads pushing out malware. Researchers found 45 new domains tied to Chinese state-sponsored hackers. And there was this really nasty info-stealer malware that was literally blackmailing people with photos from their own webcams. I mean, it was an assault from every possible angle.
So when you piece all of that together, the takeaway is, well, it's pretty sobering. The foundational systems we all build on, the open source code, the ad networks, they are just way more fragile than we like to think. And they're under a much more coordinated attack than most of us probably realize.
Okay, so the web is under siege, AI is having a legal meltdown. So what are the big players doing, the giants? Well, they're playing a massive high-stakes game of chess, making these huge strategic moves to lock down their power no matter what the future looks like.
And this day gave us a fascinating look at all the different strategies. You've got SpaceX, pure offense, making a $17 billion play to just own the satellite internet space. Then you've got a company like Snap, which is clearly in survival mode, breaking itself up into these little startup squads just to try and get agile again. And then, of course, you've got the giants playing defense. Google's fighting another ad tech monopoly lawsuit, and Nintendo is winning a $2 million lawsuit to protect its games. It's a perfect picture of the corporate battlefield, right? You've got offense, defense, and survival all happening on the same day.
But of all the corporate moves on September 9th, there was one announcement that was guaranteed to eclipse everything else and just dominate the conversation around the world.
You guessed it, Apple officially dropped the date for the iPhone 17 launch. And just like that, a single announcement kicks off the global hype train. The speculation machine goes into overdrive. Will we get a major redesign? Will the standard models finally get the ProMotion display? You know, that super smooth scrolling? It is hands down the biggest date on the consumer tech calendar, and the countdown officially started on this day.
So with all this chaos, all this competition, it makes you wonder, where's the smart money going? Let's follow the money. Where are investors actually placing their bets on the future? And that brings us to our final theme.
So where is the money going? Well, a TechCrunch analysis from that day makes it crystal clear. And honestly, it's not even close. Yeah, there's some buzz around biotech and defense tech, for sure. But the overwhelming, all-consuming focus is on AI. It isn't just a hot sector. It is the sector. It's sucking up pretty much all the oxygen and all the capital in the room.
And if you look at the specific deals from that day, you see a really interesting story. There's a record 45 million euros going to Reorbit, a company building sovereign satellites, basically secure satellites for national governments. Then you see a ton of hype around a startup called Koa, which is building what it calls the monetization layer for consumer AI. In other words, the tools to actually make money off this stuff. And finally, you see big investments in developer ecosystems, like VS Code. Dev Day is going global. So what's the common thread? It's clear. The money is pouring into security, into tools for making a profit, and into the fundamental building blocks for whatever comes next.
So let's step back for a second. When you look at everything that happened in this one single chaotic day, a really clear picture starts to form, doesn't it? You have these incredible creative breakthroughs right next to massive legal roadblocks. You have systemic threats to the web itself, while corporate giants make huge power plays. And all of it is happening against the backdrop of a tidal wave of investment rushing in one direction.
And it all leaves us with one last really big question. This one day, September 9th, it shows us a world that's accelerating in two directions at the exact same time. We're hurling towards more powerful, more amazing technology, but also towards a more fragile system with more risk than ever before. So, as everything gets faster and more powerful, are we actually building a better future or just a more fragile one? That's the thought this one day in tech leaves us with.